Today we are here to discuss Charles Dickens' novel Hard Times that is prescribed in your syllabus. So, without wasting time, let's start. I start with this very famous quote that is also from this very novel, The Hard Times. He says, "Do the wise thing and the kind thing too, and make the best of us, not the worst." You see hard times, uh, it is all about the time. So, first of all, I would like to say something about time, what you know, and what uh, in our theory or in our life, time is all about. First of all, there is a question: the, how time originates. What is time? Uh, Basically in a common way, people thinks that time starts with someone's birth and end with their death, and in the but there are many theories, many ages, many isms that changes our thinking regarding time. See, if we are reading a text of modern period, or a kind of or a Victorian period, or in the age of romanticism, so we try to correlate our understanding and the idea about that age according to that time. So we uh, produce an idea or something according to the time. So it is about in the hard times, it is all about time, and it is written in the very Victorian period. So it is all about the life of people in that period, that in the era of industrialization. So it is all about the life of people in that era. So first of all, there is a short introduction of Charles Dickens. He was born in 1812 and died on 1817. Charles Dickens was a British novelist, journalist, editor, and social commentator who wrote beloved classic novels such as Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities, and the very famous Great Expectations. There is some quick facts about him. He worked in a boot polish factory, and he was a London newspaper reporter. He published 15 novels, wrote A Christmas Carol in 6 weeks, and he was also a sketch artist. Sketched under name Boz. His pen name was Boz. Move move to the setting of the novel. As you know, it is written in the period of industrialization. So it is all about factory, the worker, the factory owner, and the very town. The name of the town is Coketown. There are several different settings described in the novel. There are several different settings described in the novel, and they all contribute to our understanding of the time in one way or another. The town of the Cocktown is where the main part of the story is set and bears a name that implies the many factories therein driven by coke. So it is not that all of a sudden he choose the name of the town. There is a very significant theme, or kind of he was trying to comment on uh, the town of that period, what was going on, the coke town. As you know, what is a coke? Coke is a residue of coal. There is half burned or a little burned coke. There is also a kind of fuel. So by giving or by putting this town as a setting of the novel, the very main part of the novel, where novel takes place, a kind of he wanted to give a message that everywhere everything is everything uh, was polluted by the the air, the smoke that is driven out of the factory. Because of this large scale industry, the intense pollution turns the town into a very filthy place. Because everywhere there is dirt, there's a filthy place. So people are losing their natural essence. There was nothing we called nature. Born to the poor people are born to become a worker. In this novel, Charles Dickens was basically trying to differentiate between the mind and the heart. Here, uh, human body, basically, those who are worker is considered just a working mind, like a machine. Means they don't have hearts to think or to feel something. It is nothing to do with feelings or emotion. People are born and given those kind of study, given those kind of education, that they can in the later part of their life they become a worker and just worker. And the storyline of the novel reading, the novel takes place somewhere in England during the mid 19th century. It is a Victorian period, and it is a in England. It was the age of industrialism. To begin with, we are introduced to Great Grand family and the two oldest children, Cecilia Jupe and Thomas Jr., also known as Tom. Their father, Mr. Gradgrind, also happens to be the founder of the school they attend, an arena in which he greatly enjoys sharing his philosophy about rationality and facts. He believes strongly in practical and logical notions and does not approve of imaginative and illogical thinking and reasoning. So, as I told you, that Mr. Gradgrind is given a sim. He's a kind of symbol of the novel, symbol of that age, symbol of a common people, a common man who thinks that a student or a human is is born just to work in the factory and to become a part of the factory or the economy. Means they rejected their creativity, their imaginative thought, and the or something else. Just according to Mr. Gradgrind, they Charles Dickens tries to say that human body is for factory. Means you are a human, then you have to work for factory in that period. Not it is not relevant to all that period. So his philosophy, Mr. Grant philosophy, is basically based upon the fact, the information about that period. And later, Jupe is the daughter of a circus entertainer who disappeared and left her to be taken in by Mr. Great Grind. Her father left her, and Mr. Great Grind nourishes him as a daughter. Jupe is specifically very different from the great grandchildren. That is to say, they are complete opposite, and that is something Mr. Great Grand wishes to amend. She is not like all his children. She is different, and that is why Mr. Great Grand took her as a challenge. I want to change her, and he wants that Jupe also have to think as he does. As time passes and the great grandchildren become older, Tom saws an increasingly self-interested side. He inconsiderately gambles too much and starts to owe people a lot of money. His everyday goal is mainly to enjoy himself as much as possible. So you see, all Mr. Gradgrind's teaching is wasted. Okay? Because Gradgrind didn't pay attention to the hearts of the people, hearts of the student or his children. He taught his children just to memorize fact and memorize information, and just like you have only mind, not heart. That is the consequence that Tom, his own son, couldn't become like him. Lucia, on the other hand, is married to the factory owner, Mr. Bonderby, who is much older than her. She finds herself trapped in this marriage. So another character, and the story progresses. One day, Mr. Bonderby's bank is robbed, and no witnesses can be found except someone claiming that a hand, the low status workers that do the dirtiest work in the cities do the dirtiest work in the city's factories, had been observing the building many nights in a row before the robbery happened. See, there was a robbery, and you see the hand, the all the low status workers is called hand. They are not called by their names. They are just like a machine that you are just a hand to the factories. See the how the workers are objectified. They didn't consider themselves, the workers, as a man or as a human being, just a machine. They work for their factory, a hand. And later Lucia meets a certain Mr. Harthouse and experiences emotions her upbringing has quenched, and now take her by surprise. Uncertain and confused, she leaves her husband and lives at Stone Lodge once more, her childhood home. See, uh, Lucia marries Mr. Bonderby not because of love, just uh, because of his brother Tom. Later we discuss why she marries to very much older than her man, Mr. Bonderby. And later she escaped. She escaped and went home, and the rest of the life she stays there. And now the story ends with a glimpse into the future where Mr. Bonderby dies alone in Cocktown, and Mr. Gradgrind abandons his fact-oriented and rational philosophy to help poor people instead. See, in the later part, how Mr. Gradgrind changed his thinking. He abandons his fact-oriented and rational philosophy, because if we consider ourselves as a human, it is not that every time we think that we just have mind, we have to do this, we have to memorize this fact, we have to get a job and become rich. As a human being, we also have a hearts, feelings. Through these feelings, the human can create something. They can imaginate something. So if the education system pay more attention on only minds, so there is a no imaginative work. There is no creativity in childhood. Cecilia Jupe, on the other hand, marries and lives a happy life with her own family, while Lucia never will have one of her own. Still, their relationship is strong, and Jupe teaches Lucia the importance of feeling sympathy for her fellow men and women. And her brother Tom also at last understands his faults, but unfortunately dies without ever seeing his family again. So here the novel ends Now we move to the theme of the novel. So as I told you earlier, that it is uh, the binary of fact and fancy. See, Dickens depicts a terrifying system of education where facts, and nothing but facts are pounded into the school children all day, where memorization of information is valued over art, imagination, or anything creative. See, their education system, the what Mr. Great Grant believes, their education based on just memorization of information means you are given such kind of education that in the later you will become a part of economy, factory worker, and all those things that help the economy, they help the industry, the factory. But they rejected the value of art, the imaginative thinking, the anything creative. So children were treated as if they had minds and not hearts. And so you suppose being a factory worker, you have to get these knowledge. There is a list of knowledge, and in your education system, only these knowledge are given to become a part of factory, to become a part of industry. So and you are not given such education that helps your imaginative thinking, that helps you to grow your art or creativity. So and see the consequence. This results in some very warped human beings. For example, Tom Gradgrind and Lucia Gradgrind. See, if since your childhood, the your father or your guardian or your education system or government rejected your feelings, or they didn't think that you also have hearts, so you become a kind of machine that you don't think emotionally, you don't have feeling, like a Tom Gradgrind. I was discussing the themes of fact versus fancy. So as I discussed that the education system of that time paid more attention on the fact that you have to memorize these fact, these information, to be able to become a part of economy, the industry, the factory, and the other things, art, the creativity is rejected. It is not given so much importance in the process of educating a children. So it results in a negative way, as Mr. Great Grant own children couldn't become as a Mr. Great Grant thing. They did a criminal activity. They they didn't become a very honest person or as a Great Grand things. So it happened when you reject the fancy, the creativity in children. In the process of educating children, we have to give equal attention on mind and hearts also. If you reject the creativity in children, their mind or their thinking uh, couldn't grow more. They become just a machine that they are given this task, so they do. And on the other hand, and instead of these things, they couldn't do artistic work. They couldn't write a poem or anything. So it is also a comment on this education system that we can't ignore the heart, the feeling, the thinking, the creative thinking of children. Now, the very famous theme, industrialism. I read, hand in hand with the glorification of data and numbers and facts in the schoolhouse is the treatment of the workers in the factories of Coketown as nothing more than machines, which produce so much per day and not thought of as having feelings or families or dreams. So as I said, they treated they are treated as a machine. You don't think, like you don't have a family and you don't dreams. You don't have any kind of dream. Means you have to do this thing in the factory. You have to do this work regardless of any thinking or any feeling. So Dickens depicts this situation as a result of the industrialization of England. Now that town like Town are focused on producing more and more dirty factories are built, more smoke pollutes the air and water, and factory owners only see their workers as a part of machines that bring them profit. The workers just a part of machine, just as a machine or any kind of motor or any kind of machine in the factory do the work. So as the workers do their work in the factory. In fact, the workers are only called hands, an indication of how objectified they are by the owners. As I told you that they are called hands. They don't. They are not called by his names or any surnames. Just hands. Workers are hands or like a machine in the factory. Similarly, Mr. Gradgrind's children were brought up with minds. None of them are people of hearts. And there is another theme, marriage. So there are unhappy marriages in hard times, and none of them are resolved happily by the end. The main unhappy marriage showcased by the novel is between Louisa Gradgrind and Mr. Bonderby. Louisa marries him not out of love but out of a sense of duty to her brother Tom, the only person in the world she loves and who wheedles her into saying yes because he works for Bonderby and wants to improve his chances at rising in the world. So as you see, her marriage is not because of love, it was a kind of a deal to his brother that if she marries to Mr. Bonderby, and on the other hand, Tom was working for Mr. Bonderby, so he gets a chance to improve their position in their workplace under Bonderby. So her marriage is just a deal because she loves her brother Tom very the only person in the world she loves. So for her brother, she marries. She married Mr. Bonderby. So as you know that he is Mr. Bonderby is very much older than Lucia Gradgrind. So it is clear that it is the utmost example of unhappy marriages. This relationship this couldn't go long. So the Lucia Gradgrind felt felt too much, and he thinks that it is not my life. I have to escape from this. So in the later, the only solution to this bad marriage that once Lucia has escaped and decided to live at home the rest of her days. He escaped because she was not happy in that marriage. And there is another example of unhappy marriage. Stephen Blackpool is damned to unhappiness in this life as a result of his marriage. Now, the conclusion. Hard Times is a revolt against the Industrial Revolution in the Victorian Age. Dickens, in his writings, especially Hard Times, studies the social